Taiwan is a wrong card to play because for the Chinese, Taiwan is a matter of historical justice.
George Yeo Yongboon is a Singaporean former politician and brigadier general who served as Minister for Foreign Affairs between 2004 and 2011. Yeo served in the Singapore Army and later Republic of Singapore Air Force between 1976 and 1988.
And Taiwan is an issue so lightly played that is alarming to me. How European leaders, European countries say, oh no, we love Taiwanese, we love Taiwan. They know nothing about Taiwan, but they love Taiwan. And they love to visit Taiwan, even though they can't remember the names and the places they visit. They do that in order to support the Americans and to satisfy themselves that they are being tough with China. Because China is too big, we've got to show that we are also strong. But Taiwan is a wrong card to play. Because for the Chinese, Taiwan is a matter of historical justice. In the 1943 December, in Cairo, Stalin met Roosevelt, Churchill, and Chiang Kai-shek. And in the Cairo Declaration, they make clear that Taiwan will be returned to China. In Potsdam, after the war ended in Europe, July 1945, it was Truman, and then halfway Churchill was replaced by Attlee because he had lost the elections in the UK, and Stalin. And they reaffirmed the Cairo Declaration in the Potsdam Proclamation. In other words, the status of Taiwan was long settled. During the Civil War in China, the American Navy helped the KMT to occupy islands in the South China Sea because the US accepted that those islands were part of China. They were occupied by Japan as a part of China. And so we returned to China. But now, because China is a preoccupation, many issues are being revisited, despite the history. But for the Chinese, Taiwan was lost because their fleet was sunk by Japan in 1994. And there was a humiliating peace agreement called the Treaty of Shimonoseki that year, leading to Japan taking over Taiwan and ruling it for 50 years. For China, it is not an issue which is negotiable. And any Chinese leader who takes a different position, however autocratic, will lose the overwhelming support of the Chinese people. Now, other issues you can talk about. You can talk about trade, you can talk about intellectual property, you can talk about chips. I think the Chinese can look after themselves. But on Taiwan, they will go to war. If they believe that the US intends to keep Taiwan separate, independent if possible, forever. The accusation is made that China is about to invade Taiwan, that Xi Jinping wants to do it for his legacy. This will not explain why in 2015 in Singapore, Xi Jinping, 2 years after he became president, met Ma Ying-jeou, the president of Taiwan in Singapore, as an equal. It was never done before. It was unprecedented. And it was done at great risk to himself. They had dinner at the Shangri-La Hotel. I was in the Quad group at the time, so I asked, who paid for the bill? I was told 50-50, down to the last cent, 50-50. Xi Jinping, of course, brought his 52% Mao Tai from Guizhou. Ma Ying-jeou, not to be outdone, brought his 52% Jingwen Gaoliang. Both very good liquors and very warm words exchanged. Now, Xi Jinping was not doing it for Ma Ying-jeou because Ma Ying-jeou was stepping down. He was doing it for Tsai Ing-wen, whom everybody knew would be the next president. I called on Tsai Ing-wen after she was elected, before she was installed. And she grumbled that the mainland was not forthcoming. I said, but Xi Jinping has just opened a road for you. It's not a super highway, but it's a pretty good road. She kept quiet. She knew what I meant. But she would not take that road because even though she became president on the Constitution of the Republic of China, her own party constitution of the DPP, the first article says, our mission is to establish an independent republic of Taiwan. So when Western powers lightly encourage the DPP to flirt with independence, you're touching a live wire. It will have consequences. So while I do not believe that China wants to invade Taiwan lightly, I believe that China will move if they are convinced that Taiwan has embarked on the road to independence. China can abjure the use of force, any more than Madrid can abjure the use of force if Catalonia were to declare independence unilaterally. Any more than London can abjure the use of force if Scotland were to declare independence unilaterally, or even Northern Ireland. But because you do not abjure the use of force, so we can be polite to one another and negotiate peaceful outcomes. But the mood in the Western media, partly deliberate, partly reflecting the mores of the time, is to paint a picture of China which is very dramatic and very black, and is leading to wrong decisions being taken in Europe. And yet the decisions being taken in Europe will have huge consequences for the world, and of course for Europe itself. China has told Taiwan, you can keep the army. So long as you accept the idea of one China, you can interpret it the way you want. It means that you're not independent. And one day when we unite, maybe I'll drop PRC, you drop ROC, and we can call it China. Yeah. So it is an internal affair. It is one of reconciliation. You know, when Annalena Baerbock, the German foreign minister, visited China recently, State Councillor Wang Yi, who was a former foreign minister, he said something which to me was very moving. He said, we supported German reunification. We hope Germany will support our reunification. Germany was divided because it was an aggressor. China was divided because it was a victim. So the moral cause of German reunification is on any balance greater than German reunification. I thought that was a very powerful message that Wang Yi put across, but it was hardly reported in your media.
So what is your thought on this? Do you agree with George Yeo, or do you think otherwise? Let us know what you think in the comments section. And also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you in the next video.